Hello friend, welcome to Phil Soul. My name is Ollie and today I would like to share something quite personal. And if you've seen my other videos, then that's not really a surprise. That's kind of what I do here. But today is special. So I have a piece of paper, and what this is a technique that helps me stay on track mentally with my attitude, my thoughts, the thoughts that I think throughout the day, my decisions. Um, it helps guide me to where I want to be, the person I want to be. And so I want to talk about my experiences with this technique, how I came to find it, what it does for me, how I handle it, the mindset I have with it, and a big one is what happens when I don't use this technique in my day. And that is actually kind of what inspired me to make this video because I've been slacking a bit lately. So of course, when you want to make changes in your life, maybe you want to achieve something or become better in some regard or heal from something, you have to be proactive. You have to think about it. You have to dedicate yourself to it. You have to have it on your mind and make those decisions when it counts. And so this is what I call my beacon. And what it is a full page that I wrote about who I want to be. And it's kind of an affirmation, or it's the same type of concept as like self-talk or an affirmation or a vision board or something like that. But basically I wrote down, I am this, I'm grateful for this. It's things that I'm grateful for, which is hugely important, including things that I'm grateful for that I'm going to have in my future, that I believe I'm going to have. Belief is really important. Who I want to be, not only just like the types of things I want in my life, types of relationships I have or whatever, but also just the type of person I am, how I conduct myself. So I wrote that all down, and I first came across this actually from Steve Harvey. I was kind of surprised when I first found out. He actually does a lot of great motivational talks and stuff like that. He has a lot of videos on YouTube, and I will put links to all of it in the description, including the talk that first inspired this. Really a lot of great stuff. Is a real life changer for me. So what exactly is in this, I don't really want to share because of course it's like super personal. I will share a little bit of it in a bit. But first, what does this do for me? Why do I do this? What am I trying to accomplish? Well, what it does is it helps me stay on track with the person I want to be, how I want to conduct myself, how I want to think. It's too easy to get wrapped up in fear, negativity, depression, poverty, being short with people, being rude with people, doing or saying things you regret later, right? What this does is that it sets me up for success so that when I conduct myself throughout my day, I'm already thinking in the mode of the person I want to be, who's generous and kind and patient and loving and successful and all this stuff, right? This is all stuff that I honestly believe it serves me, right, into becoming the man I want to become. And that's really super important. It's not just about, throughout my day I'm happier, I'm a better person, which is hugely important, but it's also about long term. This sets me up for my long-term future that I want to have. And I want to point out, it's really important to act like the person that you want to be, okay? It's easy to be like, oh, well, I would love to be super generous and super charitable. I'll do that once I'm a millionaire, right? Well, you have to build that habit now. You have to build that lifestyle, that attitude, that mindset now, right? And as you do these things, eventually it becomes the default, right? You make the deliberate decisions and it becomes habit. It becomes who you are without trying to, right? You have to live like the person you want to be. It's hugely important. And you'll begin to see possibilities that you did not see before because now you're in a different mindset, right? A new perspective. So what I do is I read it, and I'm not always the best at it, but I try to read it every morning before I do pretty much anything, and every night right before bed. And I might also do it like before I leave the house for work, or even if I'm feeling stressed or whatever, right? I'll make sure to get it in my mind. And again, I'm not always the best at doing that. Sometimes it gets away from me, and I'll talk a bit more about that in a bit. But basically, I read it, and I take it very seriously. And I read it out loud. I read it like it's fact. I read it like it is my destiny, like it is law, like it is set in stone, like it's just natural and nobody can take it away from me. I mean, I take it very seriously. And that implants all this good stuff into my mind, right? And into my heart, my spirit, my soul, my everything. That's who I'm becoming, right? And this helps me act like that person, right? It helps me focus, maintain a focus on who I want to be, how I want to act. And that helps me remember to act like that person throughout my day, throughout my life, right? And when I feel it, when I read it, I feel better. I'm happier. I'm more productive because I believe that's who I am. And I do believe it. You have to have a little faith. That's the key, right? You have to believe this stuff is out there for you. And it is, if you believe it, if you choose to believe it and take the steps for it. And that's what I'm doing. I'm setting myself up for success with this. That's what this does for me, right? It just helps me become this person. When I read this stuff and I own this stuff and I become this person, it then brings that into my life, right? Because here's the thing. When you do believe this stuff about yourself, that you are successful, that you are loving, that you're wealthy, that you're happy, that have the relationships you want, the wealth you want, the house you want, whatever that you want in your life, when you believe that it is there for you, and you might even already be that person in some ways, it encourages you to act that way. And that's hugely important, because that's really the only thing you can really change about this world we live in is yourself, your own actions, right? That's the only thing you can directly affect, right? So when you act that way, it brings that into your reality. If you want to be a successful person, believe that you can be successful, that you are a successful person. You just have to grab it. It's there for you. Just take it. And then you are encouraged in your mind to act like a successful person, and then you become successful in whatever you're doing. You see what I mean? It feeds into itself. It's a cycle. You have to start with a little belief and take steps to become that person. And that's what this does for me. So to share a little bit of what's actually in my beacon, not the whole thing, but just to give you an idea of the types of things I say, stuff like, I am truly loving, right? Every action I take comes from a place of love, because I want these healthy, loving relationships, of course, or I am grateful. This big one is I am grateful for my future, which is full of love and wealth and peace and whatever it is I want in my future, right? And I probably list like 2 dozen things there. It's a long sentence. But the thing is, again, I'm really active. I'm not passive when I read this. I'm active. This here, it reminds me of who I want to be, but it's not the be-all, end-all. I am. So when I speak it, it's an action by me. So I'll read, I'm grateful for the knowledge and the ability that I have to follow my passions and my calling, which is fill a soul, namely. And I do believe it is my passion and my calling right now. And so when I say that, it's not just me saying, yeah, I'm grateful for it, yada yada, do what the paper says. It's, yeah, I am grateful for it. I am actually saying that, and I'll go further and be like, okay, well, why? I'm grateful for it because I'm helping others, because I'm helping myself, because I'm creating something good in the world, right? I'm really owning it. I'm being it. I'm appreciating it. I'm savoring it, right? And that's the key. I really mean all of this. I get excited about it. And, I'm not always the best at doing this as consistently as I want. Again, the plan, the idea is to do it before I really do anything else in my day, like right after I wake up, basically, or right before bed, right before I go to sleep. But sometimes I let it slide to like noon. Or I'll get distracted, I'll jump into my phone or my email or something online, or maybe my mom wants help with something because I slept in and now everybody else is up before me or whatever. But I'll get behind and I won't do it. And that doesn't really serve me because I'm not setting myself up for success. And that's actually why I decided to make this video right now. I was already planning on talking about it, but I decided to make it now because I noticed I have been slacking off on it a lot lately. And I noticed how differently I was acting, which of course then I noticed how much my beacon was actually doing for me, because if not doing it caused me to act and feel so different, it must be doing a lot for me. So, what happened? My diet suffered. I was a lot less, or a lot more lenient on what I allowed into myself, right? I even ate, I typically eat gluten-free, and I ate cookies and stuff. I ate a lot more junk food, which I'm trying to get really fit, so that's not a good fit for me. Fit. Anyway, and speaking of fit, my fitness, my exercise. Yeah, I didn't exercise for days. And I already wasn't exercising much. But it's easy to come up with excuses when you're not focused on success. And I was more stressed out. Stresses piled on a lot quicker, a lot easier, and getting them out of me was a lot more difficult. And I know I made a lot less progress on Philosol. This video is made 2 days before it's scheduled to release. My last one was 1 day before release, and I try to have like a couple of them in advance, weeks ahead, but I wasn't focused on success. I wasn't motivated. I wasn't encouraged, right? Because I wasn't filling my mind with this good, healthy, encouraging stuff, right? I need to fill my head with this stuff, because then I'm encouraged to do these things. You see, I am actively creating my future. I am in control of it. So often, many people, and I know I have for a long time, we feel like we don't have control over our lives, right? Over our path. And it becomes discouraging and hard. And we don't have control of what happens to us. We just don't. We never will. That's not how life works. But we do have control of ourselves, of what we make of it, how we think and react, right? And when you realize that that's what we have, and that's what life is, you realize you don't need control over what happens to you, because you're never going to have that anyway. So once you decide to take control of yourself, that's when you start making real progress. So, the bottom line is, if I believe that I'm always going to be poor, or unloved, or unsuccessful, or lonely, or unhappy, or whatever, there's a much higher chance that I'm going to get that future because I believe it. And if I believe that I'm going to be that person, that I'm doomed to this, I'm a lot more likely to act like a person who believes that. But if I believe that there is success to be had, right? I mean, what if somebody walked up to you and said, hey, if you do this, I'll give you $1 million, right? And you believed it for whatever reason. That's not a very good analogy because that seems really shady. But if you believe that there was success to be had, okay, if you honestly believed it, that's a good motivator, isn't it? Right? This is a motivator. And there is success to be had. Just the fact that I've started a YouTube channel, compared to me 2 years ago, that is a huge success for me, right? Like, it's honestly so profound. So when I believe there is success to be had, I'm going to strive for it because I'm encouraged. I believe it. I want it. I'm willing to work for it. Even though I know it's hard and I know it's not going to be quick, I'm still willing to work for it. And isn't that so powerful? So that's what the beacon is for, is constantly reaffirming these beliefs that I do honestly believe, but can be hard to feel sometimes. I constantly reaffirm them so that I can shape who I am. So this has really helped me just in the couple months that I've been using it. It is June 5th that I'm filming this, and it is March 9th when I started this. So it's been a couple months. And it's made such a huge difference. I enjoy living so much more. It's made such a big difference in how I act and how I feel. And, because it allows me to take control of my thoughts and my attitude, which is, of course, critical because everything I feel and do and perceive flows from that. So I really, really encourage you to take control of your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, and thus your future. I think someday you'll be really happy that you did. I mean, just think about who you want to be, what you want in your life, what you need to do to get there. And that's not for me to decide. That's you. I don't know your story. I don't know you. I don't know what you need. I don't know what's important to you. But you do. You can think about it. And if you just realize that you need these things and take those steps and just work towards it, even just having it on your mind, it will help tremendously. I think so anyway. That's my story. So anyway, I really hope that you found a lot of good in this. Please feel free to share it with anybody you think will get something out of this. Of course, I would like these messages to reach as many people as possible because I know they're going to help somebody. And please feel free to leave your perspective, questions, experiences in the comments. We're a community in Philosol. I'm growing too. I don't want to just be a guy who's talking at you and teaching you my opinions. I'm growing and learning too. I still have lots of faults and a lot to go. but the stuff I have learned, the stuff I know is serving me, I want to share with you. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Much love.